Hi everyone, welcome back. So for this, I wasn't sure whether I was going to do the front of a card or the front of the cover for the memory book. And then I thought it could actually be used as either of those things or even a tag. So I have the Tonic Studios craft kit number 70. And this is the one that is supposed to create a memory book or a traveler's notebook, that kind of thing. So it's called A Lifetime of Adventure. And I've used everything from the kit to create this front panel. And so I've done some die cutting already. And I've used just some of the layers to, create what we're going to do today. So there is this teeny tiny little, what would you call it, label die in the set. And I'm taking some of the craft perfect tape that came in the kit as well, if my fingers will let me. And I've turned it upside down so it's sticky side up. And then I'm using a couple pieces either side to tape that to my mat. And then I can just temporarily stick the label on there. And that way I can stamp directly on top of it. It's just another easy way to hold those tiny little things in place when you want to do some stamping over the top. So I'm going to use some Versamark Onyx Black ink. Yes, that is the right one. Versafine Onyx Black ink, at least. And I'm just stamping that straight over the top. This little stamp fits perfectly in there and even has the shape of that die. And it says Magical Moments. So you'll see how this all comes together in a bit. So for all the pieces, because I love vintagey kind of looking stuff, and I decided to ink the edges of everything. So I have brushed corduroy distress ink, and I just have a little finger dauber to just use that around the edges. Sometimes I need those little, like when you've got smaller pieces or you just want a light inking around the edge, then definitely a finger dauber is a really good thing to have to use as an inking tool. And you'll see here, it looks, I don't know why, but always brushed corduroy on cream cardstock looks like toasted marshmallows to me. So anyway, this next layer has some stitching detail around the edge, which I thought was really nice. The previous one, the blue, it has sort of little corners that are cut out, and it actually has some embossed detail that it put onto those layers. Now these are two pieces that I cut out in the cream cardstock, and again there's some detail around the edges of each of those, like little cut out corners, and they're also the sort of solid area. I then used the same die again with the detailed inlay and die cut them again with the sort of more turquoisey blue cardstock again from the kit. And I actually used two different inlays. So this little one has almost like a globe on it, and the other one's just like a lattice. So you could use that as add flowers to it or something and make it a gardening-y sort of style card if you wanted to as well. So the sentiment is very teeny tiny and very delicate. So I'm going very carefully here around the edge as well, because I thought, again, if you start inking things, ink everything and it'll just coordinate really, really nicely. And also the little like shadow drop, I've done the inking around that as well for the sentiment. So now I'm just giving my work surface a bit of a clean up because I've been inking all over it. So I don't really want to put ink everywhere. And I'm going to start putting this together. So I have, I also dragged out the, the tape runner. I couldn't think there. That came in the kit. And so I will grab that and I will start using that on the back of the sort of larger pieces, just because it was easier. And actually I really like it. I've never used this tape before. It's really sticky, so I was really quite impressed. And it rolls really nicely. Some tape runners don't like roll or glide very nicely, and so I find them a bit frustrating, but it's good to try these things. So, and that came in the kit as well, so it was really a happy coincidence, but I used that in there as well. So for the sort of more delicate pieces, I'm using the some wet adhesive just to go around the edges and a few places in the center, just to get enough adhesion so that it bonds to the solid piece of cardstock. So you'll see here I'm going to add that to this cream color piece, and I think it's my die cutting machine. It seemed to stretch the blue one, so it's kind of stretched long, so it's meant to directly fit on top, and it's very subtle. You can't really see it, but I did notice that when I did did all the die cutting, I was like, it's doing it again. So that's my Gemini for me. I think it's just too almost too strong, too much pressure. Anyway, I used the tape runner on the back of the solid area and added that to this sort of bottom left corner, and it fits beautifully around the whole edge of the darker blue. And then for the other little piece, again, I'm just adding some adhesive, some wet adhesive, and just adding that to the solid cream piece again, just to allow that pattern to really sort of come through and show through. So this piece I will again use some dry adhesive and just stick it not in the corner of the cream, but not in the blue, the darker blue corner, sort of somewhere in between. And on the darker one, you can't see it on camera so much, but there is actually some embossed lines that it creates from the die, which I think I said earlier. So I've kind of used those as a guide to where to put that second piece. And it just looks like there's more layers there than there is. And now I'm going to stick this teeny tiny little sentiment, which is so cool. And it honestly wasn't that difficult to do. I'm just dotting the wet adhesive over it. That way it's not completely saturating the whole back of that, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so just getting some dots of adhesive on the back of that, and then I'll get that stuck to the blue sort of back, I don't know, I guess like a shadow bubble piece, and it does look very cool. So I just kind of plonked it on there, and because it's wet adhesive, I could then pick it up and just maneuver it around fairly quickly, because this adhesive does tend to want to stick fairly quick, but it gives you enough room to sort of move those letters around and just sort of get them where you want them. So that's always handy. So that's that little piece done, and then all I'm going to do is stick this and the rest of the sentiment onto the front of this. Now I was thinking that this could either be used as a card front, like you could easily pop this onto a little card. I think the measurement, you may have to adjust an A2 size card to get it to fit. So it's sort of I think it's like 4.5 by 3.5 or something. So it's kind of a funny size. Don't quote me on that, because I think it's about that size. But I thought it would be nice on the front of a card as a little sort of bon voyage kind of thing. Or it could be, and you could use some of the other sentiments in the set as well, or it could be used as the front of the memory book, which is the whole point of this craft kit this month. Or you could also use it on as a tag. I thought if you just punched a hole in the top corner and someone was going away on a big adventure or something like that, you could then make this as a tag with a little note on the back wishing them well on their new adventures and stuff like that. So I thought you could use this for a number of different things, because I think it's a nice size. You could even use this size for a number of different other things other than travel stuff, and sort of shop your stash and create things that are more, maybe you want to make some sort of like self what's the word? Like when you want to boost yourself, like I can't think of the word, but sort of nice little cards, or cards like to-do lists, or you could use the size for a number of different things. So the last thing I was trying to see whether I wanted to add anything else to it, but I decided to leave it like this. It's fairly plain. There's quite a lot of sort of cream or white space, if that makes sense, but I actually quite like it. So this is the end result, and I hope that you guys like this. I hope you've enjoyed this look into a few things, or one thing that you could do with this. There's a billion other things you could do with this. Your imagination is your only limit. So I hope this is fun, and I hope you stay tuned for more, because I will be back as always. And yeah, bye for now, guys.